Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about issue number 11 of The Phoenix from the Ashes, written by Stephanie Phillips and art by Marco Renna. But before we dive into the story, I want to ask you a favor. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow. So with that said, up to this point, Jean Grey is an Omega-level mutant, a telepath, a telekinetic, and one of the first X-Men. And as the host of the cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force, she once followed a path of destruction. But now Jean has embraced her role and reclaimed the power for her own, using it to defend the universe as the Phoenix. After defeating the Dark Gods, the Phoenix took flight, seeking to bring balance to the cosmos. As her husband, Cyclops of the X-Men, remains back on Earth, communicating with Jean using her telepathy. But the Phoenix was shocked to recently receive a psychic message from another loved one, a long-dead sister, Sarah. With that recap out of the way, we pick up in New York City with Jean out and about with her long-dead sister Sarah leaving a pizza spot. And as they walked, they just kept talking to each other as if this were a regular occasion. Sarah brings up how she missed hanging out with Jean when there isn't a crisis threatening the world or their family. But this bonding experience was cut short when a massive hole opened in the ground, and winged creatures with claws emerged from below. Almost instantly as things started to kick off, Jean shouted for her sister to get back as she attempted to use her telekinetic powers. But to her horror, her powers was nowhere to be found. This unfortunate turn of events led to the creature to swarm both Jean and her sister, Sarah, and no matter how much Jean fought in an attempt to get to her sister, she just wasn't strong enough to break free. And right before things could get worse, Jean suddenly woke up in her bed in a panic shouting out Sarah's name. Now with the realization of all this being a nightmare, Scott chimed in and said, "Another." To which Jean replied by asking Scott if her was there. Now this prompted Cyclops to answer by saying, "Yeah, I'm here, and this psychic link you established for us can get pretty sensitive. I felt your heart rate spike like it was my own. So I figured it was another nightmare about Sarah again." With that explanation out there, Cyclops then went on to ask what happened this time. To which Jean, being completely honest, told the truth and said she was dragged to hell by demons, which was apparently more creative than her last dream that involved Mr. Sinister. With that out there, we then see Scott working out in his weight room, continuing their conversation by saying she may not have been a mutant herself, but Sarah supported us when it mattered the most. Have you received any more psychic messages from her or the person claiming to be her? To that, Jean went on to reply by saying, "Just the one right after I released the Phoenix Force into the cosmos to stop the Shadow Realm from spreading, and then these nightmares won't stop." But the first psychic call from Sarah, it wasn't a dream. I felt her in my mind, calling out to me just like you are now. With that said, Cyclops had to play devil's advocate and said, "Yeah, but if Sarah Grey were alive, you would have been able to sense her by now, and because there is no trace of her, then it means that we should consider the possibility that someone planted that vision in your head." But despite Cyclops' logic, Jean just couldn't accept it and stated, "No, I felt her, Scott. The psychic message I felt was from my sister. I know it." Now Scott trusts Jean's intuition above anything, it's just that he doesn't want to see her get hurt. But from Jean's position, she lost her entire family, so if there's a chance that Sarah is somehow alive, then she has to look. Now this dedication prompted Cyclops to ask Jean, if you aren't detecting her psychically, have you thought about maybe trying the White Hot Room? Now on a side note, I am a big fan of the Krakoan storyline overall, despite some of its shortcomings, so if they are going to give us a small peek at it, then I'm here for it. But anyway, getting back to the story, Jean went on to answer Scott by saying, "I haven't been since the fall of Krakoa. Because I didn't want to interfere with New Krakoa. I've been worried that my presence might disturb the peace those mutants have found there." To that, Scott asked, "Is there a chance that the White Hot Room's connection to the Phoenix Force could help you find your sister?" To which Jean answered with, "I know it seems impossible after all this time that I could find Sarah alive. But we're Greys, we are not easily stymied by the impossible." So with their conversation wrapping up, Jean points out that she thinks she could find a way into the White Hot Room without being detected and disturbing New Krakoa. So with the plan set, as Jean begins to travel to the White Hot Room, we get a narration saying, "The White Hot Room offers sanctuary to the Phoenix Force. A hub for resurrection, a forge for reality." But in the final days of Krakoa, exiled mutants found their own sanctuary inside the White Hot Room, reviving those who were killed during the Orcus Massacre and even before it. What was once the cosmic realm for the Phoenix Force became something so much larger, a place of rebirth and second chances. How could I not want to do everything in my power to protect that? And one of the best things I thought I could do for those living inside the White Hot Room was to stay away, to grant them their deserved peace. But the white room also offers the Phoenix a connection to the very vertebrae of the stars. And if my sister is somewhere out here, somewhere on a distant planet or universe, this could be the only way to locate her. But as Jean started to search, something suddenly went wrong. As the room around her started to crack. For something was blocking Jean from the white hot room, like the link itself is being corrupted. So as Jean started to scream in pain, her narration went on to say, it's not just blocking it, it's killing it. Attacking the Phoenix's connection to this place or attacking the white hot room itself? So as a tear ran down Jean's face, a Hooten woman walked up to her saying, I knew you'd come here, your predictability only makes me feel how deeply I've missed you. So with Sarah's face revealed, Jean told her sister that she was truly real as she passed out in her arms. Following that, we transition over to Cable Wrecking Shop asking a survivor, have you ever felt the entire universe groan under the weight of chance? A weight so crushing it could be felt from years and years into the future. To that, the survivor replied with, if I say yes, will you let me go? But see, Cable have always been the ultimate badass, so he answered the survivor by saying, no, you're dead already and don't even know it, but that hardly matters anymore, Timorak. Whether I shoot you or let the universal weight crush you as the ripples overtake us, the result's the same. With that out there, the survivor had no idea what Cable was going on about as he went on to claim that he didn't steal the Echo Drive. But that was of no concern to Cable, for he went on to ask if he really can't feel it, and when the survivor asked, feel what? Cable just went on to repeat, the weight and the groan of the universe. And then said, let me put this in a way even you will understand. Something in the universe changed in our past. Which means that change will spread outward into the future and eventually it will spill over in time into our present. So with the creature completely lost, Cable stood from his seat and told Belle that he was gonna need a portal so he could time slide a few hundred years into the past because it was time for him to pay a visit to his stepmother. So as Cable set off, we then transition to the woman in question, passed out in a bed. And when we get there, we get another narration from Jean saying, Sarah Gray was grounded in a way I didn't know was possible. While I was flying across the galaxy with the X-Men, she was raising a family. She didn't see the world as a battleground, but as a place where she could build something lasting. Something built on love with a quiet strength that I wish I appreciated more in the moments I felt it. But the sheer amount of second chances the universe gave me, for SRA Gray, her death was final. Or so I thought. And at that moment Jean woke up to see her sister before her and was instantly afraid to say anything because she didn't want it to be another dream, she wanted it to be real. So with an outstretched hand Sarah told Jean to use her power and tell her if she was real. So after the two took each other's hands, Jean activated her abilities and said psychically to her sister, I've reached for you so many times, but all I've found are memories, echoes, and dreams. But you stand here touching my hand. I feel your pulse in my palm, your body heat close to mine. I don't need to reach into your thoughts to know the impossible truth. You're real. And at that moment, the two sisters hugged each other as tears ran down their faces. So with Jean breaking down in Sarah's arms, Jean started to ask a flurry of questions, like, how is any of this possible? How are you here? How am I here? With those questions out there, Sarah stated, let me show you, as she took her to the outside and said, welcome to Greyhaven, and before you ask, no, I did not name an intergalactic city after myself. They did. The people who have come to me searching for help. To that, Jean asked, what kind of help? To which, Sarah answered with, mutant help. Everyone here is a mutant, just ones with latent powers. Mutants who have always known they were different but have been unable to unlock part of their minds. And when Jean asked how, Sarah stated, that's my latent mutant ability, I can unlock someone's full potential. So with Sarah being revealed to be a mutant, she then went on to say, I looked for everyone, my kids, Paul, Mom, and Dad. And I realized that I'm the last one left, or I was, until I found you. I found you in the white hot room when I couldn't establish our psychic link. There are many psychics here, though none as powerful as the Phoenix. Together, they helped me meet you at the doors to the white hot room. But when I found you, something went wrong. I didn't know what to do, so I removed your consciousness and brought it back here with me. And I have to admit I'm excited to show you the family I have built here. So with everything looking good, we then get a narration from Jean saying, peace, a warmth in my soul unlike any fire my hands could create. Which is probably why I stopped asking questions. I didn't push Sarah on the bigger details of her sudden reappearance because, for at least this moment, I needed to believe it was real. I needed to believe I was powerful enough to prevent the future I knew was coming for us. And with that said, on the last page, we see Jean hugging Sarah in the dead of space as a world was completely destroyed behind her, with Cable's arm floating in the foreground. Now down in the comment section below, let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.